Hello, you may remember about a year ago we did an off-road mega test surrounding the launch of the new Land Rover Discovery, but we brought quite a lot of other off-roaders along too, one of which was the then generation Jeep Wrangler. Now the Jeep Wrangler has been replaced by this all-new variant, which I am sitting in as we speak. What's to know? Well, quite a lot actually. Jeep has considered this the rebirth of its cycle. It gets a new model cycle once every 10 years or so. But what Jeep doesn't like to do is mess around with the formula too much. So I am sitting in a cockpit that feels quite Jeepy. There's more refinement, which I'll come on to in a minute. But the basics, on the outside, the design has been subtly updated and it still retains a separate body and chassis. There's more aluminium in the body, so the body is lighter. You can get a two-door and a four-door. This is a two-door because that's better off-road. You can get it in sport trim, you can get it in Sahara trim, which has got a bit more refinement for the suburban user, or you can get it in the full fat off-road Rubicon trim, which is what we've done. So the Rubicon brings with it chunky BF Goodrich all-terrain tyres. This is a car that still retains a low ratio transfer case. The low ratio is lower on the Rubicon, and it gets uprated axles with automatic locking diffs, which I have also got control of here, and I can disconnect the anti-roll bars for full axle articulation. The articulation in this is really impressive. Jeep talks about going to Easter Moab Jeep Festival. It spends time with Jeep owners. It gets to know how they use their Wranglers, so it redesigns them carefully when it comes to the job. So the old car was really impressive, like 42-degree approach angle at the front. This one's now got a 44-degree approach angle at the front. The rear departure angle is really good, high 30s. Breakover angle is nearly 30 degrees. It can wade 760 mil of water, and the minimum ground clearance is 270 mil or something like that. This is a serious off-road piece of kit. That is job one on doing a new Wrangler. It has to go further, be better than the last one. What Jeep would like to do this time around is add a little bit more refinement, a little bit more on-road comfort, and certainly a nicer interior. So let's start with the interior first, because that's where I am. This Rubicon is pretty well spec'd actually. There are two dials, but there's also now a multi-colour dial, multi-colour instrument between them. And I've got an 8.5-inch touchscreen. I think base model gets a 7-inch one. 8.5-inch touchscreen, which has got swipe and grab and all the sort of functions that you get on a smartphone. It also mates to your smartphone quite well as well, so it runs CarPlay and Android, which is terrific because they are usually better than a vehicle's own systems. But this has got some quite cool off-road functions of its own, so you can see what angles you're at, what you're doing with diffs, what you're doing with steering, so on and so forth. This Wrangler is a bit bigger than the previous one. This is a two-door. There is certainly more room in the back than there used to be, but it's still quite a compact car in terms of its length. 4.3 metres long makes it about the same length as a Ford Focus, but it's relatively wide for our UK viewers. It's about 1.9 metres. Now in the UK that makes it a reasonably big car on country roads. If you're watching in the United States or elsewhere, maybe that doesn't matter. Presumably it's quite compact for you. It's quite big for us. In terms of its height, when you climb up into it, it doesn't feel quite as high as climbing into a Defender, but I think that's actually the driving position rather than ground clearance. The driving position's a bit more comfortable than the old Defender, a bit more car-like, and steering wheel adjusts and all that sort of malarkey. It does feel relatively car-ish in here, but what this car is really about is functionality, which is why I am talking to you while going places that no normal off-roader should really go. I've just been running down there in hill descent control, which I can change the speed it's going to do it on just by sweeping up and down on the gear lever. The steering is relatively slow at 3.7 turns lock to lock, but the thing to remember is it's got a very, very tight turning circle of just sort of 10.4 metres. So actually, A, it's not as slow as you think it is. B, it's a really manoeuvrable car. This is the kind of thing that matters to Jeep owners, as I understand it. They love the fact that this car will get places that it shouldn't normally go, and also it's really flexible. This is the full soft top. There's also a 3-piece hard top. There's coming later is an electric soft top. 4 bolts and you can drop the windscreen down. These doors are lighter than they were, and there's now a grab handle here, so once you've taken the Torx bolts out of the front, you can take the doors off. This car is so flexible, so modifiable, so modified. As one of the guys from Jeep said, let's face it, These cars spend about 5 minutes out the showroom stock, and then people just mess around with them, play with them. It is a toy for grown-ups. It's a fun car for grown-ups. And I really like that. I really love it. Does that affect what it's like as a road car? Yes, it does. I've driven this one on the road, where the tyres hum like a military convoy going along. But I've also driven the Sahara on the road, which is meant to be a little bit more habitable. But you're still looking at a car whose steering is a bit vague around straight ahead. There's quite a lot of road noise, there's quite a lot of tyre noise. If you're thinking about swapping out of a Volvo XC60 SUV and thinking you might find something similarly Scandi cool and refined on road, look, that's not what this car is about. Remember that. Remember the fact that it will climb up muddy slopes like that you can barely walk up. And you will have a car that you absolutely love. There are not that many cars around that you would say are truly iconic. Cars that have been in production in some form, I would guess, for what, half a century or more. Some manufacturers know what to do with their icons. Some manufacturers aren't entirely sure how to replace them. I think Jeep understands the Wrangler. It understands Wrangler owners. It knows exactly what it should do with it. And what it should do with it is exactly what it has done with it. This is a really, really cool car.